Good morning, good morning, good morning to you. Okay, so I slept in and I'm just having toast and coffee. I don't feel like eating breakfast today. Oh, yesterday was just a run around. Just a run around. Gotta wait a couple weeks to find out anything. Well, big shout out and thank you to Loretta though before I start. Thank you. Um, there's 3 long stays. They only advertised 2 with a bachelor and pool and all that. So we went to the first one. That was the first stop. Because Lafonda knows I want a swimming pool. If I'm going to pay a certain amount of money and everything's included, and it's a little bit extra, of course, to have that pool. First place we went to, the guy said, we got no bachelors available yet. It's too early. For March 1st. He said, I said, so we walked by the pool and there was no water in it. I said, there's no pool? He said, no, that's been drained out for 3 years. I'm like, but on your advertising it says pool. Oh, we should have that removed. So anyway, so he showed us a 1-bedroom and it cost too much and I don't need a 1-bedroom. And there's no pool, and I mean it costs a lot. Then he said across the way, they renovated the next one, number 2, long stay. But they only have 1-bedrooms. And they don't have no pool. There's a big sign, pool and all this right outside, you know what I mean? But there's a third one. That has a pool. We found out how much, number 1 and number 2, how much you would have to, they want $1,000 damage deposit and all this. And, well, I get a room. So anyway, so we go up to the third one. They had a bath and they had a pool. She said how much it was going to be. It's like $200 more than the other 2, but the damage deposit's only $300. What you got put down. But it did have a pool. So the bachelor was on 2nd floor and they got an elevator. There's no deck, so I'd have to go up the elevator with my scooter, right? Anyway, but it's small. It's not nicely renovated. It's okay, but not like the other 2. I was gonna put it down, but it's really like $400 more, right? I'd have to rely on bro to get that extra money. And YouTube and bro for the mukbang bro. And I don't like to rely on anybody. Unless I had a 5-day-a-week job, I could bang or I could get it, right? Anyway, so I said I'll think about it. So we drove up the road and I told her to take a right. And I showed her where the two bedrooms. which nothing's included. Well, everything's included but the light. And then you gotta pay your internet and blah blah blah, but still be cheaper than you get a 2-bedroom and it's up by Jenny's, right? So she said, so I went on it and I said, is it still available? It was Facebook Marketplace there or whatever. So I didn't hear nothing back. But finally, we decided to go to the rentals here because she decided not to get that new one there, 2 bedrooms and a den, and she wanted taller, so she could rent it out. So anyway, while we were there, I asked if there were any bachelors available, because the end of this month we were going to give her a notice anyway, right? So same thing, nothing's available. She won't know until the end of the month because that's when. But she'll keep me in mind if something comes out March 1st. So this morning, I get an email back from the one up near Jenny. Well, I didn't get a message back, but it said, so-and-so, Michelle or whoever it was, edit the Facebook thing or something. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention to it. I get an email back, made an appointment for me for Monday to go in and see that 2-bedroom, but it went up by $200. I went back into Facebook this morning. Yeah, went up by 200. So I can't get anything by the middle of February if there's nothing available here, because it doesn't have to be the first of the month at the motel with the swimming pool. It can be 15th to the 15th, it can be 18th to the 18th, whatever. That's my last resort, that one there, for a bachelor. But the woman was nice, she would have signed me right there, but I want a pool, but my gosh, I don't want to be broke either, right? So I don't know. So I think we'll go around again, not this weekend, but the weekend after. That way there, it'll be the end of January. And people will know more. I don't want to get a room because I won't be able to do my cooking because you share a bathroom and a kitchen. You know what I mean? But if I do have to get that room, I'm definitely need to find another day, either another job with working either Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or another job 5 days a week. I'm gonna have to make up that day. I know that. But so anyhow, so LaFonda agreed. We went to Walmart. I picked up everything for the Menatoni, and I'm gonna make that and film it, my style, because there's 100 styles. There's no right way, you know what I mean? And then, well, it's cooking because it takes 50 minutes because I got to, not pre-cook, but I don't have to cook the noodles. It's ready to cook. It's in a box and it looks the same as, but this one, because I tried doing it and I rinsed them, I did everything and cooled them down, the noodles, and they were cooked one time and they weren't overcooked because I only cooked them, they're supposed to be 15 minutes and I cooked for them 7 and cooled them right down and had a miserable time trying to fill them up. So I got ones that's all ready, you don't have to cook. And I'm going to use cottage cheese instead of ricotta. LaFonda said they like, and Ian's a cheese lover, and she never had it before, so this should be good. I did. I had it a couple of times, I think. But, but, I'll take a picture of it before they're cooked after and put it as a thumbnail. And I'll record it. And then I'll download it right away. But check back in about an hour or so because you might not get the notification. I'm going to get Ian at 6 o'clock before 7, 5:30, whatever, because it's going to be hot and I'm shaking that. I'll get him to come over here to carry it over with me because I got to carry my wine and all that, right? So anyway, check back to see because you might not get a notification in about an hour or so. An hour and a half, whatever. But yeah, we want to eat it hot, so I'll get him to bring it over for me. I'm not going to do it here. We'll do it over at her place. Now, I'm not Italian, but Mom went out with John. This is the story. That the mother, we lived in a small town, Minto, and she went out with this guy, and he was Italian, and his mom and dad, this is a story that she told Mom. His mom and dad was from Sicily. Anyways, so she made homemade everything. Oh, gnocchi, love gnocchi. And she'd do this, her sauce, and then she would put, and then you have the gnocchi, and then she would do chicken, and then she put the sauce over it. She'd do homemade lasagna. She used to sell the pizzas back then. I think it was $5. Everything homemade. She had herbs up where her window in the kitchen, like oregano and growing. He used to, down in the basement, in the winter time, he had this old tub. I think normal size. It wasn't one of them. It was a tub. And he used to grow romaine lettuce. And he'd make his own brandy. And anyway, well, everything was homemade. I wouldn't help because I was too young and we'd go over there. But Mom would help her because her arthritis at the end of it, and her hands and that. Do the dough and put it through the machine and make her own raviolis and oh, beautiful, just beautiful. Well, I think this is the reason why sometimes different region, just like New Brunswick. If you go to Fredericton, order poutine, you're going to get the pricing, right? But if you go over to the Acadian side, you're going to get what I made, like potato pancake and the poutine. It's going to be different, so different region. This is, well, anyway, the story was, Mom went over there to help her do the lasagna noodles. She helped her sometime. We'd go over. And, well, the father was at work. I don't think Mom liked the father, but I think he was just an old-fashioned guy. And anyways, she said that he didn't like her. And anyways, whatever. So, she'd help her out. And she'd make 2 lasagnas. 2 different types. Mom said, why are you making, well, she'd make it her, she had 2 boys and a girl. No, it was just 2 boys. Yeah, she had 2 boys. When they moved to Minto, she couldn't even speak English. She had to learn English, and the boys was only like 3 and 5 or something. Anyway, so one was with ground beef for her and the 2 boys, and she'd make one for her husband, and wherever you put the ground beef, like when you make the sauce, she put eggplant. And then instead of the cottage cheese or Ramada cheese, she would she cut up boiled eggs. Mom was like, why two totally different lasagnas? And she said, well, she said, my husband in Sicily, his family was really poor. So of course they cooked with what they had. They lived way up in the mountains, she said, like way up high. And they called them villagers, or I don't know. Anyway, so they didn't have much meat. So they used the eggplant and they used the eggs and to replace the cheese because they didn't have goats, they didn't have cow, they didn't have nothing for the milk, right? Because down in the village, closer to the village, they had farms, so they had the meat and everything's homemade. Their cheese is homemade, everything is homemade, right? It's easy to make cheese. But anyways, so that's how he was brought up, was eating it with the lasagna, the eggplant, and because eggplant, if you cook it and put oil and stuff, because what she would do, I don't think she put it in the spaghetti sauce. I think she would cook it in the oven and put salt and oil, and then she'd have her nice sauce, right? And she put the noodles, but then she put a roll of the eggplant instead of putting it, but it replaced the meat. So anyway, so I don't know how they met, but they met, and her family had lots of money. Lots of money. This is what she was telling Mom, right? Anyway, so she met John's father, and they found love, and her family restricted. No. Even though the father's a hard worker, but no. Because he worked, he was a good worker. He worked out in the Ciamento with the coal, right? People came from steamboats when it was a coal rush. And they advertised in Italy and Greece and like where my grandmother, South Wales, but she was Irish, but because of the coal and this and they all came over by not steamboat, but I suppose they run the boats and trade and everything with the coal, the big boats, right? So anyway, and train and everything at that time was coal. So that's where he worked. But anyways, now a small place, I don't know if they threw a dart on the map or how, but I suppose he might have seen the advertising. And they both ran away. They knew her family wouldn't find her in Minto. Minto? You know what I mean? So, anyways, I don't know if she was pregnant and that. I don't know the story, but all I know is they came from Sicily and he worked coal mines because they had the mines. This is before the big drag line and everything, right? Anyways, so he was a hard worker, and that's why they moved to our small little town and got married, and that was the story. But I'm thinking, because some people, they don't put no meat in their manitou, manitou, man. It's all different ways of pronouncing it, Manitoni. But anyways, some people put seafood. I'm gonna put Italian sausage because I think I remember John's mom used to make it. I think she used to put Italian sausage in hers. Some people don't put any meat, so it's however. So but I'm just gonna cook it. I, I never looked at a recipe. So when I cooked it for Jim, I did it by memory, and I'm thinking I did it the way she did it. But she cooked her noodles because hers was homemade. I remember she had this rack thing, and she put them, and she made all her noodles and let them dry, and then she would cook them. I think she would just pre-cook them, but she made these big shells. She used to put stuff the shell sometime. Didn't have the noodles, eh? Like these big shells that she used to make. They look like those little tiny shells that you can get. She had and stuff them. Yes, that's right too. These things come back because I just started going out with Randy when so I was 14, 13, 14 when, because me and Randy was together when she was with John. So I was 13, 14. But yeah, and I think she did put ricotta cheese though. I can't see, but in Minto maybe, because they didn't go into Fredericton to cook, so, or to shop or whatever. She get whatever at our little IGA that we had, our grocery store, and they might not have had ricotta, and that's why she used cottage. Because I'm pretty sure in her lasagna she used cottage cheese too. So, and they're both close the same. Yeah. So anyhow, so in 2 weeks we're gonna do the same thing again on a Friday. I did get my laundry done though when I came home. I was tired. I had to get up early and had a hard time sleeping. That's why I'm so late. I'm not hungry right now. I might grab something later. I'm just all worked up, all worked up. Couldn't sleep because I was just thinking about yesterday's events. But thank you, Loretta. I really appreciate it. Um, so don't forget, I'm going to film it and make it. Then after it's made and I got it in the thing, not cooked, I'll take a picture for the thumbnail. I'm not going to wait an hour until everything, because I cook it for 50 minutes. And then with the cover, tinfoil, and then the last 10 minutes, I take the tinfoil off because I put mozzarella and Parmesan on top. So I want that to melt, Parmesan and then the mozzarella. So I'll do a thumbnail, I'll download it. So a couple hours later, because I'm gonna film over there and then it has to download, and so it'll be a couple hours later. You might not get the notification, but it'll be under Saturday Night Cooking over at La Fonda's. Put it in a playlist, right? If you know how to find my playlist, that's how you can find it or whatever. But in manicotti, I'm gonna put under easy recipes. I call folders playlist. Yeah. Anyways, one thing about I do have to get that place, because the one with the pool. I do have to get that one because she's not gonna have no room because she's not moving. She's not gonna have that den, right? And if there's nothing available here, if I do get, because I was already accepted yesterday, if I would have paid the 300, I could have moved in on the 28th. She was ready to rumble, but LaFonda kept on, I think you should think about it and blah 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 and think about it, and then I would think about it. Yeah, it's $400 more, than the other. But anyway, so but everything's included. But I still gotta pay my phone and eat and pay my cigarettes. If I can't afford canned milk. But anyway, push comes to shove, and I'm really desperate. I can go get that, like say the end of February. she said I can't use, because they can't do change ad, or when you do a change of address when you move or whatever, you can't use, they got no mail there. But parcels, like Amazon and whatever, they will receive if it's a parcel, not mail, but a parcel. So it's not really a P.O. box, but anyways. But yeah, that would be my last resort. 'Cause I know LaPonda knows that I like a pool. Plus I know she likes a pool. You can see the pool, right? And I can have kids, just as long as they're not running up and down the hall. That's all she don't want, right? Screaming and going. But yeah, so that was my day yesterday. Busy day today. Then tomorrow I can rest because I got my clothes done. No. I just don't like waiting because I like to know what I'm doing much first. At least I know I have a backup. I do have a backup. I don't think you really get a discount for long term anyway, so I could just do it by the month. That way there I'll get a complimentary breakfast. I don't think I get a kitchenette though. It's the only thing. I don't think they all have kitchenettes. It's not as nice as the other ones that's renovated, but it's not run down or nothing, but and it comes with the fireplace and the TV and the desk and the king size bed and kitchenette and bathroom, and so I mean it's a bachelor, right? Table and chairs and two 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 sitting chairs and like chairs that you not recliners, but you know, two chairs and living room chairs. There's no sofa, but there's two chairs and so that was my day. I'm just gonna have to sit and relax for 2 weeks and not worry, because I do have a backup. That's a good thing. And if the backup, if they weren't a bachelor available, I can always stay at Honda's for a month. I mean, that's no big deal, but just like I got nowhere to put my bed and stuff, because if I don't get a motel and I do find a 1-bedroom apartment, I'm gonna want my bed and stuff, see? That's the only thing. I don't want to pay for storage. So. Oh, but that rent went right up, that 2-bedroom. 2-bedroom near Jenny. That means damage deposit went up. Everything went up. Overnight, I like that. March 1st coming. A lot of people be looking for a place to see. They know they can raise the rent, right? But if I get a bachelor over here, oh well. I really don't like it here, but at least it can be any apartment, any one of them. I don't care if it's a dog. I don't care if it's hers. I don't care if it's this one. Doesn't matter. But she won't know until the end of January. So people got to give their notice, right? So that's all today. So remember, after it's done cooking, I'm gonna have it cooked for 5:30 my time, and because we want it hot, we want to eat it hot, right? Or warm anyway. And he got to go to work at 7, so I'll get him to come over and get it at 5:30. But as it's cooking, I'll download it as it's in the oven, because it's gonna take an hour. So I'll download that. But make sure you check back in a couple hours and look under Saturday night chat, because YouTube might not do the notification, even though they're going to be like almost 2 hours. But they did that before, right? When I did the baby pictures there, whatever I cooked, I forget now, that chicken curry, they didn't show the notification for the Saturday night chat, and it wasn't that long, and it wasn't, yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of time in between both, but anyhow. So I'll see you tonight. I didn't have big breakfast. For 2 weeks I'm gonna be a little, you know. Oh, it'll work out. That's what I have to say every day. It'll work out. It'll work out. Lisa Fonda, she's looking too. She was there. She's seen. So she might. I know her. She likes being on the internet and stuff. So she'll be looking to see for 1 bedroom or bachelor, and she knows what area. She knows I want over there. So she'll be looking too. She called another one when we were parked at. She called and they said they'd call back next week, but we'll see. Yeah. So you guys all have a good day, and yeah, it was quite the day yesterday. It really took a lot out of me. And see you tonight.